This is Breakfast Daily, and it's time to look at some pressing issues making news in our country. Now, I've been joined in the studio by editor of the Herald newspaper, Larry Dogbe, and editor of the Find Out newspaper and newscenter.com, Elvis Darko. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. So we'll start with the trending issue, or let me say a developing issue. You know, it doesn't look like it's going anytime soon. That is issues relating to the Bank of Ghana. Now, Elvis, I'm going to take the story from your newspaper, and that's a story that you put together. Cost of new headquarters not bloated. Now, the story reads, the Bank of Ghana, BOG, has rejected accusations that the cost of its new headquarters under construction is inflated. According to the regulator, the $2,068 per square kilometer cost of the project compares favorably with data from the Africa Property and Construction Cost Guide 2021-2022's $2,658 per square kilometer and 2022-2023 cost of $2,720 per square kilometer as average construction cost for prestige high-rise office spaces in Africa. The BOG pointed out that even though the comparable data from the Africa Property and Construction Cost Guide relates to prestige high-rise office spaces, the unique features of a central bank, including vaults and security installations, rank higher than the considerations for the former. Now, conspicuously, BOG failed to provide the total cost of the reviewed project to the bank, the $250 million cost in the public domain. It is conspicuous because the project is 50% complete. Addressing a press conference in Accra to address claims of bloated cost, Governor of BOG, Dr. Ernest Addison, said this makes the figure for the bank's building more competitive. Explaining why the cost of the building was reviewed upwards, Dr. Addison said the need to reconfigure the spatial requirements in order to meet all relevant statutory requirements and functionality of the building resulted in modifications of the initial design concept to the current gross floor area in excess of 100,000 square meters. He said total gross floor area was increased by 27,000 square meters from 73,000 square meters in the first design to 100,000 square meters in the new design. The new design also includes a 6-story amenities block, upper ground podium, lower ground podium, ancillary facilities, energy farm, treatment plants, and security gate houses. The project consists of 3 main blocks, namely the tower, urban and amenities blocks, including basements, podium, and ancillary facilities. The tower block was reduced from 25 stories in the first design to 20 in new design. The new design added an 8-story urban block, which was not in the first design. The car parking facility was also reduced from a 4-level basement in the first design to a 3-level basement in the new design. An auditorium in the first design is, however, not included in the new design. I'll end this here, but you can get details of this story on page 2 of the Find Out newspaper. I'll start with you, Elvis. So this is the explanation that, or the breakdown that the Bank of Ghana is giving us as far as the $250 million cost for the new headquarters is being discussed. Now, we have had other people come in to, for instance, Muhammad Yariga has said that this is a very ridiculous explanation from the Bank of Ghana. What will be your initial comments on this?
Ridiculous in what sense? If you say ridiculous, the issue is, okay, maybe I have to, maybe
yes,
we'll
start so let's start this. I'll get his angle too for you.
I think that 2 issues resulted in all this brouhaha about the Bank of Ghana headquarters. 1 is the timing, and 2, the issue of whether the cost is value for money or not. These are the 2 issues for me we are talking about here. The government has admitted that if the decision to start the building was to be taken in these difficult times, they wouldn't have done it. So for that, he concedes that the timing is an issue, but the explanation is that the building started 3 years ago at a time where the economy is not in this kind of situation, where the Bank of Ghana has not recorded these losses. At the time they started the building, they were recording profits, so they were financing the project from their profits. So at the time of start of the project, the Bank of Ghana was not in this economic situation. So he admits that if it is today that they are to start that project, they wouldn't have done it with the benefits on hand. So clearly that has been settled, that the issue of timing doesn't come in, because at the time that the project started, they were making profit. So there was no reason to say the timing at that time was bad.
So on that score, let me just help you with the Mahama Yaraga's point. So when you go to citinewsroom.com, the Member of Parliament for Boko Central, Mahama Yariga, has described the justification given by the Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, on its new headquarters project as the most ridiculous, responding to the justification that the BOG's current head office was no longer fit for purpose. In an interview on Eyewitness News on Citi FM on Monday, Ayariga said, "This is the most ridiculous and palpably unacceptable, laughable explanation I can hear from a governor for spending such an amount of money when your country is facing the kind of challenges that we are facing today." Now, when talking about backdating,
so
he said
made the point that
let me add this to
current
it.
situation.
No, so according to Mahama Yariga, at no time, this is a quote, at no time during the tenure of Akufo-Addo's government was Ghana doing so well that there was a justification to spend that colossal amount of money on the central bank's head office building. So he is trying to say that whether it started 3 years ago or 2 years ago,
I think I disagree
is a
with
non-starter.
him. The point is, this is a project financed by the Bank of Ghana from its own resources. And an institution that is making profit at the time it wants to do this project, if you tell me that it's not justified, I don't know how you want me to agree with it. So on that point, I really disagree with the central bank, the Mahama Yariga, because it's clear. And they mentioned the profits they made in the 3 years before they decided to start this project. And all allocations to the project were made from their profit. So if an organization is making profit and felt that they need to do a new headquarters, and if you read the statement carefully, they actually stated that the central bank building has structural defects. And consultants have been brought in, they've done their own evaluation, independent analysis, and concluded that the building there is no longer really safe for the central bank to occupy. This is an independent body they brought in to come and work. And the result says that they need to put up a different, but the place is no longer that safe for the central bank. So if an institution has consulted an independent body and they did a work and say, look, you need to put a new building, and they are making profits at the time that the decision is taken, that since we are making profit, we need to do it. That's why I said that the governor actually accepted that even if the building was to be done in these economic times, they wouldn't have done it. By the time they were taking the decision, they had a report that tells them that the building has structural defects. And at the time, they were also making profits. So they deemed it necessary to put up the building. So for me, the justification on that part, I don't have any problem with it. The issue about the cost of the building is where we need to look at more. This is a building per the BOG's own assessment. They started with their own plan, and everything was $121 million.
In fact, it was even earlier 81 million,
it was
and then came to 121. And then now
it is 121 from the central bank. When they sent it to PPA, they said PPA reduced the price to 81 without any reason, without any justification. So when they went to the process and awarded the contract for 121, they went back to PPA, and the PPA now approved the 121 million. So from the start, it was 121. It was PPA that brought it to 81, but they didn't give them any justification why they reduced the price. So when they went to the process and awarded, they went back to PPA to ask them why they need to reduce the price. At the end of the PPA, approved the 121. So the 121 million was the project cost from the beginning. Then, along the line, they realized that they need to modify the project and add other things. For them, that's what their own explanation. And instead of one tower building, which was going to occupy 700,000, 73,000 square meters, they increased the 73,000 square meters to 100,000 square kilometers. So it means that the space available has now become bigger. So they added 27,000 square kilometers
Yeah.
to the project. So the project has become bigger in scope. Now they're going to have at least 3 different buildings on the plot, and they explain the new additions to that made the price to go up. Unfortunately, where the problem is now is the minority is quoting $250 million as the price of the building. Bank of Ghana has admitted they have done an upward adjustment because they have modified the building and expanded the project from 73,000 square meters to 100,000 square meters. Strangely, the Bank of Ghana conspicuously did not mention the total cost of the project.
Yeah.
So right now, they've left doubts in the mind of the people to ask, why are you refusing to release the cost of the project? Because there's a figure already in public domain.
Yeah.
You said the project is even 50% complete. So I mean the project is not now being awarded for you to tell me that you don't even know the total amount.
Yeah.
So the question now is, what happened that the Bank of Ghana with a press conference that touched on 2 issues, gave all the details about the project, has failed to actually give the actual cost as we speak. How much are you spending on the project that is 50% complete? Whether it's deliberate or whether it's an oversight, I can't tell. But I think that that information that they failed to release really will create doubts in the mind of people to ask if you are claiming that the figure put at the minority is not accurate or the project is justified. What stops you from then giving us your figures for us to know?
Right.
And for me, I'm not property expert.
Yeah.
But at least one thing I like about what they've given us is that they've given us at least the cost per square meter. Now we will want to interrogate if the cost per square meter of $2,068 is value for money. For them, they said they have compared with African Property Guide cost, and theirs is even lower than what the African Property Guide gives as high-rise building. And theirs is not only a high-rise building, but also a central bank building that has
special features
and others. So for me, the crux of the matter, for the timing, I think the central bank has addressed. But I think the cost, the failure to put out that amount, how much they actually spending since the project
is the issue here.
Is the issue here. Why did they not put it out? And we will now need real estate and property experts to tell us that if the square meter cost of $2,000 is value for money. I think for me, the bottom line now is the value for money. And we'll look at it further to see whether that amount being quoted is value for money.
So I think in the coming days, we'll still, like we are doing now, we'll ask all the questions and seek to get the answers. But Larry, so this is where we are now, the Bank of Ghana trying to explain for us to understand the need, first and foremost, of a new headquarters and why it's costing the amount it's costing.
Thank you. You know, when you started reading this, I thought that it was a press conference that you were invited to, and then you were shown all these things, told you, and then you were shown a design, and you know, as in what is available, and then where we are going.
The 50%, what is on the ground.
You get it, But
the building is just at reach, unless you don't know the place.
What he is trying to say that he thought it was going to address all that and probably a field visit, you know, for people to understand.
That's I know the place.
You know the place, okay. Have you seen the design, as in on paper, or you know what they do, the prototype? Is that correct?
Yeah, the prototype.
Impression.
Exactly. And so
when it's completed, this is how it's going to look.
This is what we are going to get. So then you begin to measure the progress of work based on all that. You know, this is a cock and bull story, if you ask me.
Why?
To a point where he is even saying that, listen, they fail to provide, you know, details as to where they are now. Okay? First of all, you submitted something to PPA. PPA thought that whatever it is that you've submitted is going to cost $81 million. And gave it to you. You ignored what PPA gave you, the state institution that is supposed to ensure that all procurement processes, you know, meet a certain requirement.
Yeah.
You ignored that and started your own thing.
No, because there were modifications made.
No, I'm coming.
Okay.
Okay, so after the
No, at that time there was no modification.
No, after they went to PPA,
No,
after
what
the thing
Larry
was
is saying
approved.
that the PPA, Bank of Ghana sent 121 million. PPA reduced it to 81. That one there was no modification. Then Bank of Ghana came back and awarded a 121 million contract and went back to PPA for approval. It's after they got that approval before they now have gone to do the modification. The modification
you get what we are dealing with. So you submitted something for a certain cost. The institution, state institution mandated to go through all that, told you that, listen, no, this thing would go for this amount of money. You ignore that and rather awarded a job at a cost of $121 million. Okay?
Yeah.
A process has started. Then you went back, modified it again for additional cost. But that cost, you are not telling us. Frema, what kind of country are we running? What kind of country are we running? I mean, did Addison really approve of this? I'm shocked and scandalized. And I tell you that, you know something, I'll come back later and put something on the website. So when you need additional information, go to our website, you see
I
there.
probably couldn't say everything.
But he failed in that
conference.
document to give you how much the modification is now costing. So anybody can speculate. I could even say that it's about $300 million.
Thank you.
I could say, and it's safe. Because, listen, you are not running this institution like your inheritance. Do you get it? Aren't you tired discussing these things all the time? Such cock and bull stories. There is a reason why the procurement laws of this country mandates institutions like that. And people put in charge of responsibility. Do you get it? To adhere to certain processes. You submitted a document. You knew that by law you are mandated to do that. And you submitted this document. Okay, the process to the PPA.
Yeah.
Public Procurement Authority. And then they went through your document and said that, listen, no, this thing will go for $81 million. You took it and went away and rather awarded a contract for $121 million. Then you came back and told us that, listen, you even upon all that you had gone through, you had now even modified the thing again. You've added additional features. Charlie, where is this going?
Yeah.
And then nobody's supposed to talk about it. When you talk about it, it means that you don't know what time it is. And now they're talking about Dakar, what is happening in Dakar, what's happening in Abuja, what is happening elsewhere, and so on and so forth. Now, give me the name of the company that is doing the thing. I mean, hey.
But we agree
and
that...
Then I'm coming on. Then he mentioned that there was a report that he said they had gotten some experts' advice that where they occupy now, the current...
Yeah, that was what I was going to ask.
Have we seen that report?
No.
We need to see that. Who did that? Everybody, everything has become confidential.
No, but the name of the company is in the report. It's in the...
I'm saying that...
report,
okay, which one?
The report itself...
No, the structural integrity that was done.
Which company did that?
No, the name
Let's
of the
see
company.
that. Those documents are public documents. Do you understand? You are administering, these institutions for and on behalf of the state. On behalf of us. Do you get it? You just don't do the things you want to do. You submitted. Let me stress. You went to PPA. Why review it? Let's see the design. Then we hold him by it. This thing, what is this? And
to even add to
the politics of this country is becoming just something.
Another 3-something million contract has been awarded to Multicard, which is a company that is to the project management aspect. And even the press conference they also didn't tell us that even the reviewed project has been sent to PPA for approval, the modifications and additional costs. In this press conference he held, they also didn't tell us that even the reviewed cost, they went back to PPA for approval.
Yeah.
So though they are trying to attempt to address the issue, they have left loopholes that raises more questions. If you're giving us that you receive approval for the 121, now the modification have increased the cost. Where the modifications also sent to PPA for approval.
So
let me tell you, there's something I know about. There's something I know about Bank of Ghana. And this explains why some of them they don't invite us to some of their programs. Listen, Addison is never in charge of this bank.
What does that mean?
He's not in charge of the bank.
Who is?
Somebody else is in charge.
Who is that?
So games are played over him. Okay, and we reported some of these things before. Games are played over him.
So who is in charge of the Bank of Ghana?
The deputy. One of the deputies is really in charge of the institution. And
why would he say that?
He's never in town. He's mostly on medical vacation.
But as far as we are concerned, he is the
you
governor.
As far as you are concerned,
yes.
I'm not part of the we because.
Well, so I still go by what is out there, the official.
I mean, listen, because you are a journalist. I'm coming from. You are a journalist.
Yeah.
You know there's the official, picture, and then there's the unofficial picture.
I would go with the official picture.
You want don't listen. As a journalist, don't go with the official picture.
Listen.
When you go with the official picture, you become a conveyor belt.
No. But what I'm trying to say is,
yes.
Per what we know, if there are other information, we will interrogate that. You understand? But what we know is, Ernest Addison is the governor of the Bank of Ghana. So whatever internal operations go on, it is up to the leadership of the institution to make sure that the right thing is done. That is what we require.
So what we are
them.
dealing with now,
yes.
where the modifications, the changes in price and all that and so on, and all this, whatever we have been.
No, I agree with you that there are, like Elvis said, there are a lot of answers that we require, because really we need to know. So at this point, the 50% work that has been done, what is the cost?
If he didn't do a press conference, then there's a reason why he didn't do a press conference.
No, he did a press conference.
Oh, he did a press
conference.
Yeah,
he did.
So
it was a press conference.
That was a press
conference.
You attended.
No, I didn't go.
But you had a reporter there.
Yes.
Okay. And then your reporter couldn't ask, oh, listen, how come you are not telling us about the cost of this?
But that's why he probably also says that I'm going to put more information on the website.
So go maybe I may be the only person who is raising the question of why we didn't have the actual cost. Because probably the report, the press conference that day, and two different press statements.
You need to query your reporter.
One on the day.
Maybe your reporter even asked. Maybe your reporter is the one who asked, and he said there will be more information.
If you go through all the reports, you may not even see anybody questioning why we didn't have the actual cost.
Why the modification? Why they decided to show? Sorry, what's the right word? I mean, is it show?
To show,
the modification,
the PPA,
thing, and do their own thing. Then there was no need to go there.
You understand it? So
there was no need, and then you see this whole thing where state institutions are having to ignore the public procurement laws and do their own thing. Cocoa board is worse. Okay, and wherever there's huge procurement, billions of cities or millions of hundreds of millions of dollars, they just go there and submit documents to PPA and say that we have done this, approve of it.
Yeah. So I want to believe that you wanted to add something.
So the issue is why is it that the BOG will ignore PPA of 81 and go award the contract for two before going back to PPA for approval? Because at least if you disagree, you should have gone back to PPA to say, I don't understand why you reduce the cost. Let's sort that out before you go and award the contract. But then you go award the contract, then you go back to PPA, and PPA too, which gave the 181, when the BOG went back, then they approved the 121, so PPA to ask questions to answer.
Maybe they were not convinced.
No, all those reasons, PPA did not give a reason. According to BOG.
No, then we should ask for the PPA. We should ask for the PPA initial reason.
That is where the problem is coming from.
BOG said they didn't give any reason.
Yeah.
So there's something missing there. You reduce the cost without giving reason. And then the people also go, they didn't come to question why they read the cost.
It's PPA that is talking. This one is BOG that is talking.
Yes, and then the other one, I want the contract.
Send your reporters to PPA.
They will. I mean, so the press conference has happened. So there are a lot of questions that we are still asking. So I think that in the coming days, like I mentioned earlier, we will seek to get answers to all these questions that we are raising. In fact, the 50%, what is work done? To cover the 50%, how much is that? And in the coming days, what else are we also getting?
The central bank naturally don't want to talk. They are closed all over the world. And I think this BOG was not expecting this kind of response to their annual statement that they published. See, when we attack, we say we don't want the IMF and the rest. These are some of the benefits of the IMF. When the IMF comes, they insist that everything that you are doing should be made public. And that is what is giving us the kind of information we are getting about what is happening even at the BOG. So clearly you can see that with the IMF coming in, there's more openness from the central bank than it would have been.
Yeah.
And I believe that they never expected that the response would be there. So they are struggling to respond. So probably with this and the questions we are asking, they may come back further and provide additional information.
There's a video I watched of one of the BOG officers, I think who is in charge of procurement or something to that effect, where he was being questioned as to the cost, how the change in figures and so on. And the man just, cut the call and then went away. I think
wow.
Yes, I think it was he was being questioned on Asempa radio or so.
Okay.
I mean, Frema, in any serious country, with a president who says that, listen, I am fighting corruption, and that I want
protect
to say
the
something.
public purse.
I will protect the public purse. I mean, that official will have to be fired within 24 hours because you don't do that. You don't do that. You are being questioned as to, hey, how come you brought 5 cities and then later you brought 15 cities and now you are bringing 25 cities, okay? And then all you did was, I think the thing became too intense for him. Then he
Was
cut
it
his
network
call.
issues or he just
I don't
hung
think
up?
so. He really hung up because then you see you have to assess the environment before. The way his comments before and thereafter.
I don't want to laugh.
We also
have to laugh.
We also need to admit that not everybody can communicate.
Exactly.
publicly.
Sometimes people.
So sometimes maybe you are put on the spot, but you are not a real communicator.
What are you talking about? BOG doesn't have a PRO.
That's what I'm saying.
You have been there severally. I haven't been there before.
So he's only saying.
They have PRO. Why
exactly.
should maybe that person who is talking probably is not a communication person. So probably
So you are
release the
struggling to even
rightful
articulate
information
your
that
point,
people who can communicate.
Okay.
Because somebody, when you put him on the spot,
But you just
he may
also don't
the
have to hang
information,
up.
But subsequently,
But if that is the issue, you just have to say that I'll get the right official to attend
if
to this.
you understand communication, not many people understand communication that you
Anyway,
can easily say,
I wish to recommend you for them.
Or maybe it was network issues. Larry just tried to be.
Do you know why politicians are always goofing? They don't understand that they can tell a journalist that, oh, please, I don't have the information, now give me time.
They try
They
to
think
say
that they are
something.
under some force to explain immediately the question is put to them.
And then
then they ended up messing up. So somebody going up like that at that higher level probably is good at his work in the
Bank
office,
of Ghana
but not
should be very
a good
proud of you,
communicator.
honestly.
So I think that they should look at the communication channels at the central bank.
That video
and get
has
a
gone
very good
viral
person to
since.
talk.
Okay, I think I'm talking about 2 weeks old video. It's gone viral, and I'm sure the communication specialists of BOG or department, or even Addison himself and his deputies would have seen that video and would have noticed the attitude of his, of their subordinates.
Maybe
and would have
they haven't seen
reacted
it.
respectfully.
Maybe
would
they
have
haven't
taken
seen
us
it.
serious as people in this country who are taxpayers who pay them. You don't do this.
Let's give them the benefit of the doubt that the communication department did not see that
We're
video.
giving
So.
benefit people the benefit.
All right,
They didn't say
but maybe the communication department have not seen it. Yeah, so I mean, help us with the video and let's share with them so that they can respond to it.